welcome to another EU5 Dev Diary video. It's been like a little while since I last did one of these because I've been busy doing the AARs and then also just they had a little bit of a break. And yeah, we're back with one that is, for me at least, one of the most exciting Dev Diaries that we're going to get. Because it's all about multiplayer, and I will be playing a lot of EU5 in multiplayer. I've played a lot of EU4 in multiplayer, and yeah, I love playing these games in MP because they basically offer a much more realistic kind of gauge for skill than against the AI. You get some amazing narratives, and as my smartwatch has told me a couple of times when playing MP, it really gets the heart rate up. It's not a bad time at all. So this Dev Diary is going to be all about multiplayer. But of course, to play in the multiplayers that I will be hosting, you would have to own the game. And if you have not yet pre-purchased EU5 and you wish to do so, and again, if you don't do the pre-ordering thing, this is fine. You could also purchase it on release day. But if you want to use the creator link that I've been given by Paradox, you'll really help out the channel. It'll give you a link to the Paradox store, and if you pre-order or even get it on release day or whenever, using my link, then I will get a bit of a cutback from the sale. If you buy from here, it should say creator referral activated. But if you want to just be sure, you can pop in. I'm not Lord Lame, that's not me at all. You can pop in the code like that, and then yeah, I get a little bit of a cut of the sale, and you help out the channel, and everything's glorious. So without further ado, let's have a look and see what we're going to be getting with the multiplayer of Europa Universalis 5. So, hello everyone, welcome to another happy Wednesday, the day of the week, where we talk about our top secret. Oh yes. It's not top secret anymore. It's announced. It's got a release date, the 4th of November. I'm very excited. But yes, we're going to be talking about the greatest game in the universe, EU5 for sure. So we'll talk about some aspects of the multiplayer part of the game. For Johan personally, this is an important part of what makes these games enjoyable in the long run, so it's important to get it working properly. As for architecture, in previous Grand Strategy games, they only ran the AI on the host, which created a lot of network traffic, particularly when there are many countries or units. In EU5, which is a far more complex game than anything they've done in the past, this would not work if they wanted multiplayer to work. So instead, they've made a code architecture where the AI runs synchronized across all machines. This is both quite exciting and a little worrying for me. Exciting that the host isn't gonna have to have the absolute NASA computer of all time, needing to do all of the calculations and also have the most amazing internet and sending the data back and forth to all of the players at the same time. It's like that's but it could be taxing. However, I am a little worried. Like, this feels like, oh yes, we're gonna do synchronized AI on all the machines, so we're all going to share the load, and it makes me feel like, I mean, just the name, synchronized, because anybody who's played a bunch of Paradox multiplayer will know the opposite of synchronized is desynchronized. Desync, lots and lots of desyncs, especially if you're playing one of the more recent Paradox games. CK3 and Big 3 are absolutely dreadful in multiplayer because of desync issues. This is slightly worrying. I am really hoping that we're getting a stable MP. That would be really important for me. But anyway, moving on. Hosting and joining MP games. If you're logged into Steam, you can host a new game, which loads you into this lobby. Yes, fantastic. There is lobby system. The games that come out without a lobby system, in the bin, please. I hate them. Hate them so much. 2 toggles for wherever a game is public, and 1 for if you auto-accept hotjoins or not. I mean, you turn this off always. Public or private, I mean, as long as you put a password, it is whatever. The button next to currently multiplayer right here, this is the chat. There is the return of the in-game chat is kind of crazy that it's been, like 3 games now without a chat, and now we're getting it back. Like, how do you miss How do you miss that? How do you not include a chat function in your bloody grand strategy game? It's kind of weird, kind of wild. Clicking on the blue server ID button copies the server ID to the clipboard for easy sharing. Makes sense. You can also browse for other players' games or join a specific server ID you got a link to. Of course, majority of people are going to be, playing with specific IDs, just browsing for people's games. Like, I don't think just hop in and play has really ever worked out. No, I'm good. One important aspect of this is that you'll load into lobby when rehosting a save game. Thank all of the gods, just all of them. Because, Stellaris and CK3 and to a lesser extent Vic 3, because no one plays it anyway, don't have this, and it's so terrible. It is absolutely dog. I really hate not having a lobby when rehosting a save game. Why would they get rid of this? Like, it just simply worked, and losing it was a dumb decision. I'm just gonna say it. Like, it was a terrible, terrible decision made without a level of intelligence that I would expect from people who make games. Just at the end of the day, not having, like, it was terrible. Anyway, both the lobby and the actual game, you'll be able to have a chat, including whispering to other players and public chats. Makes sense. I know that there is functionality for, like, also rolling dice. If that's what you want to do, you can do that. I would like the ability to, first of all, have a list of players here on the chat window itself, like we have in EU4. I'd also like the ability to create rooms, so I can create my alliance room and have, myself and 3 or 4 other people in a room, and you can click it with a tab at the top here, like in EU4. Lesser known feature that isn't used very often, but that would also be very, very nice to have indeed. Out of syncs. Sometimes things happen when you play a multiplayer game across the world where a player loses connection or gets out of sync. There are multiple options that can be done when one or more players goes out of sync with the host, so you can ignore it. You can resync, so we're getting that from Hearts of Iron 4, which is fantastic. Very, very happy to see that. You can continue without them, so kick the desyncer out, or you can just end the game if you so desire. Fair enough. Also, there is obviously hotjoins. They are in the game as well. Makes sense. And again, I'm just going to point out the terrible way that Paradox has done it since, I think, Imperator. I can't remember if Stellaris did this too, whereby in a hotjoin, the game would continue. People will be able to click around and continue to play while somebody is actively trying to download all of the data of the game that they're trying to join. In other words, it used to be that you would just desync instantly when hot joining, because the game state would be changing while you join the game. And it was a terrible decision. Never worked. Not once in the history of Paradox multiplayer has this system ever worked. But now, obviously, there is a proper... I mean, there's actually a game rule option for it. Either you can have the game kick people into a lobby while somebody hot joins, or you can have the game just, like, pause and, obviously you can't click anything either way, or you can't make actions either way. But in one of the hot join versions, you can actually go and click around and look around and all that kind of stuff as well. You just can't make any actions, like you can't queue up buildings or what have you. Which is great. Absolutely fantastic. Another thing, I believe, because I have tested this a little bit with Lemon Cake and Playmaker, is with hot joins, I believe it is possible for people to then change their country. I don't like this, and I think it is turned off if you remove the ability for people to switch countries at all. Obviously, there's game rules for that. But if you have game rules for switch country on, people can change country in that menu, which is kind of wild. But anyway, moving swiftly on. We also have the ability to change the amount of file transfer speed. I don't know why you'd have this on anything other than high. I'm not gonna lie. This feels like something you would always just have on high, and you know what? If somebody can't keep up with that, so what? They just don't keep up with that. This feels like, you know, a max limit, not a min limit, if you know what I mean. So it's a little bit strange. Obviously, how many ticks a client is allowed to lag behind before pausing for everyone, 30 being the maximum. That seems reasonable enough to me. The host can decide the game rules that everyone has to follow. Naturally, if missions should be enabled, they're off by default. How the Black Death is working should be default by default. Most importantly, if it's called the Eastern Roman Empire or something else. Yuan, you know me too well. Of course, every single multiplayer that I host will have them called the Eastern Roman Empire until such a time as Paradox learns their true name and adds more options such as Basiliaton Romaean or Empire of the Romans. That would actually be the preferred ones. But you know what? This is better than Byzantium, so you know what? Every game I host will have this. Also, just some things that quite literally no one cares about. We also have a score system in the game, similar to how EU4 works. You gain points depending on if your country is in the top 10, admin dip, or military attributes. Also a victory card system, which is a gate like nobody, like 0.1%, you are reaching far higher than the actual number. Like, if EU4, I think this is conservative, has 100,000 active players, like obviously not all at the same time, but you know, if we're regularly reaching 20,000 concurrents, like times 5ing that and saying that's the active, it's not unreasonable. It's probably even conservative, right? But so let's use 100,000 as it's an easy number, and I might be able to do the maths on that. 1% of 100,000 is 1,000. 0.1% of 1,000. 0.1% of 100,000 is 100. If you think 100 people care about victory cards, then you are mistaken. How many people work at Paradox? Tinto. That's how many people care about victory cards. And I think even that's probably more likely just Johan and maybe like one or two others. I'm not gonna lie. Look, no one cares about victory cards. I'm never gonna use them. But you know what? If it's important for conflicts in the Dev Clash, fine. I'm hoping that this means like there is a guarantee that there will be a Dev Clash. And if that's the case, I humbly offer myself as tribute. Let me cast, please. I would love that so much. I would love that so much. It'd be so fun. But anyway, obviously there are some developer comments. We will go through a few of those now. So, first of all, missions is default off in multiplayer. How do battles work? Does one player slow the game down for everyone? No, that is not the case. There is a game rule, though, in the, obviously, multiplayer options, that if two players are at war, you can automatically slow the game down when that happens. So say you're playing on speed 4, which I think is never going to happen. I think games are probably going to run at speed 3 just continually. If two players go to war, then it will automatically slow down to 2. You can also just choose not to have that happen at all, which I think is probably the best case scenario. I think multiplayer games will probably run at speed 3, and they will just continue to run at speed 3 until somebody lags us down to speed 2. I think that's going to be the case. How have the multiplayer tests been? Does the game run pretty well compared to other Paradox games? So Johan's saying that the MP is pretty decent. He has no comparison really since Imperator's release, but he would say it's better. Imperator's release, Imperator is a game that does have desyncs. It's obviously, it's not immune, it's not perfect. I'd say it's probably the third best multiplayer stability-wise that Paradox has released. I think it's between EU4 and HOI4 for top spot. I don't really know which, because I don't play too much HOI4, but I've heard good things. EU4 is very, very stable, though. Imperator, I would say, is underneath that. Then it's probably Stellaris. Then... CK... CK2 and CK3 are both pretty bad. And no one cares about Victory 3, so whatever. Either way. Would we have the possibility of several players playing as the same country? It was possible in EU4. So basically having co-op. Not by release, It's not in the Gemini architecture. But Yuan wants it, and he suspects it's something for a free patch. That's kind of good, right? Because the thing I've been worried about with multiplayer EU5 is the case of China and India. I would like to see people on things like Barmanis and Bengal and Malwa at the same time. But these all start as literal parts of Delhi. So an idea I had was maybe we have a bunch of people co-oping Delhi and then jumping into Bamanis, Malwa, or Bengal when these countries explode out of it. Oh, Jaunpur, and there's a bunch. I thought that might be the idea, that might be the vibe. But obviously there's no co-op, so I think probably what we're going to end up doing is pre-splitting them out. And I think that shouldn't be too difficult. Like, if we just run from a save game, and I can fire the relevant event codes with the console, and so these countries will exist at the start of the game. I think that's probably the way that we're going to go with it for multiplayer. I'm probably going to ask a bunch of MP people and see what they think as well. But yeah, that's what I suspect is going to be the case. But yeah, no co-op. I'm not too worried about it. I don't generally like co-op. I ban it in my own games anyway. So yeah, thing is, this game is an awful lot more complex than the games that I have like played so far in multiplayer. So I don't know how necessary it's going to be. But obviously, people want it, and if it's going to come in a free patch, then, you know, fair dues. I'm not going to complain. Could EU5 include things like map pings? There is a rudimentary map ping, but it can be improved. That's awesome. Love that. Love that. Being able to ping specifically for allies would be great. Being able to ping... I think actually that's the only one I would care about. But generic ping and probably would be an option that I would turn off if I could, because I don't want to be in a 70-player multiplayer and then just have one jackass pinging random crap. That would be annoying. But yeah, having a ping would be really, really great. Victoria 2 style map drawing would be kind of decent as well, but I can do without it, of course. Are there other additional host quality of life tools, like only the host can assign player countries? I don't know why I would ever care about that one, to be honest. I don't think that's ever going to be a case of a necessary thing. Like, if somebody is jumping onto a country that you don't want them to be on, you click kick player. Or you tell them, no, don't play that, and if they ignore you, you kick player. Like, I don't... These random lobbies, I don't think is, like, remotely healthy, so I don't really care about those. CK3 and Vicky 3 are famous for how unstable their multiplayer is. Yep, pretty much. Has EU5 done something different to alleviate this, besides the resync feature? So Yuan doesn't have any idea how these guys run or prioritize multiplayer, but his tech director is the guy who's the multiplayer programmer for EU4, and made it possible to hotjoin there a decade ago. We're also using the Steam API. So this means no Nakama, for starters. I believe both of these games only use Nakama. And also he's the guy who included hotjoins, coded hotjoins. That's awesome. I want to say this is Grugi. I'm probably wrong, but I want to say this is Grugi. And yeah, I have an inkling that it is. I'm pretty sure I remember this being his thing. But again, I might be wrong on that, so don't take it as gospel. What about differences regarding players? How will the game work if the host has the recommended PC and the other players are down to minimal specs? So it ticks at the speed you desire. So unless you have a potato, speed 4 and below is the same for everyone. I mean, of course. Did you check what the player count is? 5, 10, or dozens of players? Will it be able to run on speed 4 or 5? Nobody is playing speed 5 at all. Nobody's playing speed 5 with dozens of players either. Like, that's ludicrous. Like, you are absolutely mad if you think that's ever going to happen. Speed 5 works fine as office LAN for all games. But yeah, it's not usable for any game to play at that speed. Like, it just isn't. You would never ever play a multiplayer game at speed 5. Speed 4, I can see potential if you are in a small, like, 5, 10, maybe a dozen players. But if you're in the kind of multiplayer where there is 70 players, session 1, like, nobody's expecting even speed 4 on that. I really don't think that's going to be the case. Desync frequency isn't more or less an issue right now. So Yuan obviously does not like desyncs. Nobody does. 1 is too many. Hopefully they will be able to, stamp out all of the desyncs, and the multiplayer will be incredibly stable, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to answer a question here that isn't answered, right? Player count. There was a live stream that Generalist Gaming did. Obviously, Generalist, if you don't know him, you probably should. He's probably the guy, the creator with the most hours in the game right now. If he hasn't hit 1,000 hours yet, I think he's not far off it. And he's done these Q&A live streams where he's been reading chat. In his live chat, somebody asked about multiplayer in EU5 and said, does it have the same 32-player cap like EU4? Generalist is not an EU4 player. He did not know that the 32-player cap in EU4 is complete bollocks. There's just not a thing at all. So he responded talking about, I don't know what it is in EU5. I don't know if it's got a 32-player cap like EU4. But the transcript, which is like AI generated by listening to Generalist and then, transcripting, basically made it look like Generalist confirmed that EU5 has a 32-player cap, which is not true. It's straight up not true. I've seen it reposted and reclaimed and confirmed 32 player. It's not true. It is straight up not true. Like I said, I've done a little bit of multiplayer testing, and when I was doing it with Lemon Cake and Playmaker, if I recall correctly, and I have tagged Lemon Cake in this recently and basically said, do I recall this correctly? And he said I did. There was a 128-player cap. I don't think anybody has been in a multiplayer with 128 players, so I wouldn't worry about it. If that is the cap, that is perfectly reasonable. It's perfectly fine, and nobody is going to have an issue with that. Unless you're some, at a LAN party maybe, and you're trying to do crazy things. Either way, I wouldn't worry about it. The player cap is high enough for everybody's needs. Moving on, though. We need an option to hide some important information like the amount of other troops. Yeah, there is a map mode called the War map mode where it will just highlight all of your enemies in red on the map and all of your friends in green, and it will show you the total number of troops on each side. I really don't like this in multiplayer or a single player. I really don't want it to be possible to see that information in multiplayer. There is a hidden ledger game rule that hides some stats. Fantastic. Hopefully it is more hidden than EU4, because with EU4, even with these limited ledger, there is still so much information you can actually glean from various things. Specifically, you're gleaning it from the score. So if you could just turn off score, that might be a good idea, for sure. And then finally, how will battles work? Does one-player battle shut down the game for everyone? No, that's not the case. Fantastic. Good stuff. Yeah, multiplayer. Of course, I'm going to be hosting multiplayers on my Discord server. There's a link to my Discord server in the, description below, if that is something you're going to be interested in. Again, if you have not yet purchased the game and want to be a part of these multiplayers, I'm going to be hosting pretty soon after release, maybe the week after release. Then you're obviously going to need the game, and if you want to get the game with my, creator code, then, again, description, pinned comment, there'll be links where you can do that. But yeah, I'm super looking forward to multiplayer. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic, phenomenal, and I am very scared if I play MP with Generalist, because he is an eco beast, and I'm not at that level yet. But I'll get there. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do have a video coming out relatively soon in the next few days that's going to be looking at the Black Death and what you can do to minimize your losses. So expect that. And if you're interested in that, click the subscribe button so you don't miss it. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.